Started. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to Sustainable Wellesley's conversation with the candidates. Tonight, you are here with myself. I'm Phyllis Tierman and many other folks from Sustainable Wellesley's leadership team, including, this is just in alphabetical order, Scott Bender, Mary Gard, Trish Glass, Evelyn Matsumoto, Nikki Offenloch, and Quentin Prideaux. For those of you who don't know us, Sustainable Wellesley is an all-volunteer nonprofit organization that engages residents, businesses in the town of Wellesley to take sustainable action to protect our climate, reduce pollution of air, land, and water, preserve biodiversity, minimize waste, and ensure environmental justice. So thank you to all the candidates for leaning in to participate in this important conversation. As you all know, Wellesley has an emissions reductions goal to meet by 2050, and the town of Wellesley's climate action plan, which will guide town departments, residents, and businesses to get to that goal, will be released any day now. Thus, this conversation tonight is very timely and very important. So we want to let you know that the event is being recorded and we will be sharing it on our website and our newsletter and on social media later this week. So how it's going to work tonight is we will offer each candidate 1 minute to introduce themselves and then ask them 2 to 3 questions, which we have shared with them in advance. They will have 1 minute to answer each of those questions. In addition, we collected a few questions from the public and have incorporated those into the questions that we have created, as long as they weren't a repeat or anything. So thank you to those who have sent questions in advance. Trish Glass will be watching the clock and letting candidates know that 10 seconds are left, and then when they have hit the 1 minute mark. So we ask everyone stay on mute, and if you don't want to be recorded, you can turn off your video. We ask candidates to unmute when I call your name. And I believe the candidates for the moderator and assessor are not in attendance tonight, but if you are, please let us know in the chat. So we have about 70 folks already here. So I think we will get going. So let's begin. I'm going to start with the select board. And the way this goes, we are doing it in alphabetical order by last name. And then each time we'll switch so that not everyone gets the first question at the same time. So Lisa Olney, if you're out there, we're going to try to spotlight you. Oh, and Odessa, hi, it worked. Olney comes before Sanchez. So if we can get Lisa up there, voila, it worked. I love this magic of Zoom. Thank you, Evelyn. So Lisa, we are going to start the clock. And if someone can mute, if you're not being spoken to, that would be great, or you're not speaking, that would be fabulous. Lisa, starting now, please take 1 minute to introduce yourself. Lisa Olney.
So thanks so much to Sustainable Wellesley for having us tonight. I'm Lisa Olney. I've lived in Wellesley for almost 30 years, and some of you may know me from my 8 years on the board here at Sustainable Wellesley. I stepped off that board when I was elected to the select board in 2019. It's been an honor to serve in town government for 3 years on the select board, 8 years as a town meeting member, and 5 years on the Natural Resources Commission. And the issue that drives me has always been how to live with respect for each other and for our natural world. Representing the select board on the Climate Action Committee, I helped develop the town's climate action plan that serves as a roadmap for achieving our ambitious goals to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. It's going to take all of us working together to make sure we achieve those goals, and I look forward to continued collaboration with everyone in our community to make sure we get there.
And time.
Great, thank you. Okay, Odessa, please take 1 minute to introduce yourself.
Thank you, Phyllis. So hello, neighbors and friends, and hello, Sustainable Wellesley. Thank you so much for this important forum tonight. So my name is Odessa Sanchez, and I am running again for one of the open seats of the select board. I've lived in Wellesley for 13 years. I've made it my home to raise my family, and my family has grown since I moved here to now my loving husband and his children who live partly in Boston. One of my most pleasurable accomplishments is working and living in this town. I'm a current teacher at St. John's School, and I'm also a coach at St. John's School as well as at the high school. Working with young individuals has given me an opportunity to see what we need for the future firsthand for our town. And one of my priorities is making our town more accessible and mobile, and also my work at the Climate Action Committee as well, to make sure that environmental justice is at the forefront whenever we're talking about a greener town. Thank you.
Thank you, Odessa.
Okay, now, Odessa, you get 1 second to take a breather because the question's going right back at you.
Sure.
But luckily you've seen these in advance. Odessa, what is your track record on environmental sustainability, including any related interests, experiences, or initiatives? Go ahead, thank you.
Thank you. Well, first and foremost, I work directly with empowering and building the independence and self-esteem of young women of all ages and of all cultures. I'm a Black female and a head coach at one of the most diverse athletic programs here in town. And I've also initiated a Barton Road Community Fridge program last year, which has brought me a lot of satisfaction because I've seen the sustainability drive of all of our neighbors who've come and donated to that. I'm also going to work with students of Babson who want to help our program get to where it needs to be and grow. I'm also a member of the Chamber, Newton Chamber Business Association, so we can also have more outreach in our community. And I've also created I'm sorry, I've also had conversations with RDF where I've invited some of your members to make sure that we make our RDF user-friendly for all. Thank you.
Time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't hear if it was 10 seconds or if it was time.
She'll wave a little.
Okay.
Lisa, same question. What is your track record on environmental sustainability, including any related interests, experiences, or initiatives?
So thanks for the question. As a member of the Select Board, I proposed the resolution to address the impact of climate change, which was passed in 2020 by town meeting. And the resolution embedded emissions reductions as a consideration at every level of our town government and set the stage for the emissions reduction goals passed by town meeting in 2021. But I recognize that achieving our goals will require action way beyond Wellesley. So I helped develop a regional initiative on gas leaks that convenes municipal officials and advocates for an ongoing dialogue with our gas company, National Grid. I've also represented the Select Board at the State House in support of environmental legislation to advance our goals. And for many years, I've volunteered as a grassroots organizer on state and national campaigns to elect candidates who prioritize the transition to a clean and just energy future.
10 seconds. Time.
Thank you. Okay, Lisa, now you get a second to take a breath because the question's back at you. How do you see sustainability and climate change as factors in the development of policy for the town of Wellesley? And what specific initiatives are you planning to help Wellesley meet its greenhouse emissions goals?
So I believe we have a great opportunity to address overlapping goals for the environment, housing, and economic vibrancy of the town by taking another look at redeveloping two properties directly under Select Board authority, the two parking lots that straddle the railroad tracks in Wellesley Square. We need to consider the greatest and best use of these prime spots in the heart of our town. I've heard concerns that redevelopment might affect nearby neighborhoods and traffic flow and the look and feel of the town center. But I've also seen how towns like ours are figuring it out all over the state, working to address transportation-related emissions and increase housing options while building stronger town centers. We need to bring more people into our commercial districts to create more vibrancy, and I believe that together with a thoughtful and inclusive process, we can come up with creative solutions.
Thank you. Okay, Odessa, same question. Shall I repeat it or you got it?
You can repeat it. Thank you.
Okay, no worries. How do you, Odessa, see sustainability and climate change as factors in the development of policy for the town of Wellesley? And what specific initiatives are you planning to help Wellesley meet its greenhouse gas emissions goals?
Okay, thank you. So realizing that even before the pandemic, our school and our municipal budgets had more than doubled since 2013. So I think that what's really important is that even though we're planning and we're making these policies that have to do with, for instance, building such projects that are on the table right now, we need to decide that there's three pillars of sustainability: the economic level, the environmental level, and of course, close to my heart was the social level. There should be no kind of project or building that doesn't have civic and civil input. I think that we need to understand that if there's a marginalized community that is affected most by that building, then the vulnerable residents who will be affected the most should be heard the most. And I think we should put people over profits whenever we're talking about any kind of expansion. Thank you.
Thank you, Odessa. Okay, I'm going to speak slowly so you get another breath. Here we go. Odessa, given that the select board is responsible for making appointments to several important town committees, what will you do to ensure that at least some members of these committees will advocate for an environmental perspective on issues under consideration?
Well, I'll continue to do what I've been doing. What I do is I talk to the people. I think it's one role that an official can have, which is just to initiate conversations or initiate boards. But I think that if you're on the ground level and speaking with the community that is affected by these things, if you're speaking with the stakeholders, when you're bringing them together, a talent that I have, which is to create a conversation and get maybe 10 or 15 people on a call and decide. I know that those students who are in town who care, those board members like the Wellesley Light Department, wherever they are going to come together and decide that we have to start talking and having these important conversations, and we need to level the playing field by having people who are all at different areas of this conversation are at the table together and having those talks. So I think that's how we would bring it together.
And time. Great.
Thank you. Okay, Lisa, same question. Shall I repeat it?
I think well, why don't you go ahead? Yeah.
Okay. Given that the select board is responsible for making appointments to several important town committees, what will you do to ensure that at least some members of these committees will advocate for an environmental perspective on issues under consideration?
So recruiting Wellesley residents to serve on boards and committees is a really important responsibility of the select board, and we really need to continue to broaden our reach. The Climate Action Committee actually provided a great model by engaging with people all across the community in developing the Climate Action Plan. And some of those folks could definitely be tapped for future appointments. Also, I initiated and now serve on the town's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Task Force, the Wellesley Freedom Team, and the Wellesley Civil Discourse Initiative. And these are all projects that are engaging people who've never been involved in town government before. And as a result, we have a great opportunity to encourage these participants to stay involved and to bring these fresh perspectives, not just to our climate goals, but to also help create a stronger and more welcoming community.
Thank you. Well, thank you, select board candidates. We appreciate your time, and we're going to move on to the Board of Health. So our Board of Health candidate, there's just one. It's Linda Grape. Linda, I believe you're here. Yes, you are. We're going to spotlight you. Give you 1 second. I'll read Linda. Actually, Linda, we're going to give you, once you get on the screen, not me, we're going to give you 1 minute to introduce yourself. There she is.
Okay, great. Thank you. First, I'd like to thank the Sustainable Wellesley for hosting this very important event. I think every opportunity for candidates to speak what's on their mind, what their plans, goals, concerns are, is definitely a value add and helps our community make informed decisions when they go to vote. And again, I encourage everyone to get out and go to the polls on Tuesday, March 1st. So again, as was already said by Phyllis, my name is Linda Oliver Grape. I'm a candidate for re-election to the Board of Health. This would be my second term. Who knew 3 years ago when I started in this role, there would be this virus called COVID and all of the havoc and chaos that it has since created. So I look forward to being able to adjust to life with COVID. But a little bit about myself.
10
I'm an
seconds.
almost 40-year resident of the town. I've been very active in many schools, school athletic organizations and civic organizations, as well as a town meeting member, PTO president, PTO vice president. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Linda, you're the only one, so I'm just gonna keep the questions coming. But then you can go take the rest of the night off. Linda,
Thank you.
what is your track record on environmental sustainability, including any related interests, experiences, or initiatives?
Well, I first got involved at the town level with environmental issues and sustainability. I don't know if folks remember a wonderful woman and who was very active volunteer in the schools by the name of Bev Morrison. And when my first child was a kindergartner, I became an environmental aide and learned so much from that role and continued to do that, continuing on in the schools as a volunteer recycling coordinator and volunteer. I'm an avid recycler at the RDF. I am trying, I'm not doing 100% full disclosure on food waste collection, but I'm trying hard. I also am trying in individual level, decreasing the fertilizer use. I am an avid Mass Save customer. I also have a dear friend who's launched a carbon neutral business in the Northwest. And it's been really interesting to see that and to see the opportunities that we could bring to the East Coast with such entrepreneurial opportunities. So that's some of my interest and track record.
Thanks. That's
Thank you.
Perfect time. Next question is, what specific initiatives related to the environment should the Board of Health undertake in the next 3-year term to ensure Wellesley meets its greenhouse gas reduction goals?
Simply put, education, education, education. We can all learn, we can all do better. I think there's several things that we need to encourage and educate our community. And I say that, and I mean both residential and commercial use. We need to promote food recycling in both, as I said, in homes and in retail settings. We need to promote plantings of more trees, plants, minimize use of fertilizers and other additives to the soil. And we really need to promote alternative fuel sources, both for automobiles as well as for residential heating or any kind of heating along that way. But I think we just need to have good conversations. The other thing that is very important
10
that
seconds.
that we need to come to terms with is work, and hopefully one of the things I wish to accomplish is work with the Public Works Department to develop a long and short-term solution for the PFAS water issue.
And time.
Very good, thank you, that's important. And your final question tonight is, how do you view the relationship between public health, the environment, and sustainability? If you feel there is a connection, do you envision the board as an advocate at both the local and state level for reducing air and water pollution, greenhouse gas emissions, especially those in environmental justice communities?
Absolutely, they are all interconnected. I feel strongly that global warming is the greatest threat to the public's health, and the time is now to take action. We want to leave our Earth in a better place than we found it when we were here, were born. Having said that, I think that they're all public health, environmental concerns and sustainability are dovetailed. They're all interconnected. And I think, what we need to do is we need to identify opportunities to improve the environmental health by reducing air and water pollution, decreasing greenhouse emissions. COVID, frankly, has heightened our awareness around health inequities, and much attention has been given to ameliorate the disparities. The same needs to be done for environmental disparities and inequities.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Linda. Thanks for your
Thank
time
you.
tonight. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have the school committee candidates, and they include Neil Glick and Craig Mack, who I believe are both here this evening. We're going to put you on spotlight. There's Mr. Glick. Good evening. You can unmute yourself. And Mr.
Good
Craig
evening.
Mack.
Hello.
Hi, Craig. Okay, again, going in alphabetical order. Neil, please take 1 minute to introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Neil Glick, running for the school committee as a positive change agent. I'm a longtime resident, parent of 4, one currently in elementary school. I've served as a member of the planning board and the wetlands committee, counsel for the Conservation Land Trust, hockey dad, and Little League coach. I've been a teacher, a trustee of the Boston Architectural College, and I'm a lawyer in town. Change means turning 3 things around. Return to academic excellence. Let's replace politics and ideology with academic rigor and critical thinking. Get politics out of the schools and return our rankings to the top 5 in the state. Stop the enrollment decline. Public schools bring our community together, kids and adults. Yet recently, 300 families have voted with their feet and left the system. Oversight and transparency for parents. Right now, the committee is an echo chamber and in lockstep with the school administration, a fresh approach that empowers parents and provides transparency and oversight is needed. If you want change, I humbly ask for your vote.
Thank you, Neil. Craig, please take 1 minute to introduce yourself.
Thank you. I'd like to thank Sustainable Wellesley for hosting the evening's event. My name is Craig Mack, and I am the proud father of 4 young women. My oldest daughter is a 2020 high school graduate, and I have 2 daughters who are currently in the high school and 1 daughter who is in middle school. Between my children and my 28-year career in higher education, I have a unique perspective to serve on and contribute to the school committee. I've worked both in student services areas and academic affairs, where my focus has always been about academic success and student well-being. And I currently serve as the Associate Provost for Student Achievement and Success at the Mass College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences in Boston. On the school committee, the values and principles I would like to see upheld and that I would uphold are keeping the district focused on maintaining high educational standards and the academic rigor while focusing on developing the whole student, strengthening our community through engagement and compassion and a sense of belonging, creating opportunities for honest dialogue with the family members, with parents and all community members, and creating a more inclusive environment that's guided by equity, empathy, and celebrating all of our differences.
And time.
Thank you.
Okay, Craig, you get a breather because you get the
Yep.
next question. Craig, what is
Great.
your track record on environmental sustainability, including any related interests, experiences, or initiatives?
Thank you. So I'd say my track record is mostly tied to small local efforts, but with a focus on helping others in this. Also more deeply rooted in the simple principle of the reduce, reuse, and recycle concept. So committed to these efforts for many decades. During my time working at Boston University, I supported a major food salvage program. There was a volunteer-run program that served salvage food from restaurants and grocery stores and delivered to many area food pantries and soup kitchens. And I also helped a student design and implement a comprehensive recycling program across the university. Believe it or not, BU did not have a major recycling program. The other aspect I would say is that my wife and I ran a food pantry in Brighton that was benefited from the food salvage program and provided nourishment and food for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Neil, your turn. What is your track record on environmental sustainability, including any related interests, experiences, or initiatives? I think you might be on mute. Oh, no, you're not.
These are just a few highlights. Over a decade of legal work on utility scale solar power installations generating lots of renewable energy. Helped to replace our planning board's attitude towards developers and architects with a more sustainable, environment-oriented approach. Mitigated Massport runway expansion by building the largest waterfront park in the Northeast and obtaining historic soundproofing relief for residents. Appointed by the Secretary of Environmental Affairs to the working group on the North-South Station rail link for high-speed rail. Representing the Sierra Club, the Charles River Watershed Association, and others, fought the infamous Scheme Z bowl of ramps over the Charles River for the Big Dig and replaced it with the beautiful, iconic Zakim Bridge. Preserved the historic Bullfinch Building and Clerk of Courts Building in Cambridge from the wrecking ball and its fate as a surface parking lot. Stopped the 40B project in Carver that was to be built on the Plymouth Aquifer and next to a cranberry bog. Successfully fought to preserve historic landscapes and homes from development, and helped convince the Secretary of Environmental Affairs, Secretary of Housing.
That's time.
Okay. Those are just a few, but my most important sustainability contribution is walking to work.
Thank you. Neil, the last question goes to you. What are your thoughts on sustainability as an issue and opportunity for students and staff in the Wellesley school system in both curriculum and non-curriculum? And what initiatives would you undertake to ensure Wellesley meets its greenhouse gas reduction goals?
Well,
Oh, wait, hold on. Craig. Oh, no, Neil, you're going first. I'm sorry.
oh, you want me to
Neil,
go?
you're up, Neil. Sorry, my bad.
Well, make our new and renovated school facilities a laboratory for sustainability. Let the buildings teach our kids about sustainability, from drainage, protecting Fuller Brook, groundwater recharge via pervious pavement, solar energy, perhaps geothermal energy, building orientation and ventilation. Continue teaching environmental science through our buildings. Get grants to help pay for this effort and work with other boards and committees to hire designers who will implement the program. Work to reduce emissions in the car lines. Encourage walking or biking to school, timing dismissals, remote parking, encouraging carpooling, and designing better traffic flow. Move towards hydrogen-powered buses, perhaps with interim steps including natural gas power. Do our very best to avoid hermetically sealed classrooms and focus on teaching STEM and science. Our record over the last 2 years indicates a bit of an abdication of responsibility in this area, and the kids see that. Focus on academic rigor in the science, including building and environmental sciences.
Thank you. Craig, shall I read the question again, or are you all set?
I think I have it. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
go
you, Neil, for sharing that. I agree with the buses. It'd be great to get more kids on buses. Doing that, also we can support families if we can reduce those fees and get those green buses, whether they're hydrogen or somehow battery powered, whatever it may be. We can be greener in that area. There's a lot of funding at the municipal level for that. I know that our busing source is outsourced with a vendor, and a lot of the federal funds are tied to municipal funding. However, if we can support a vendor getting that, it's a mutual benefit for our community. I also really appreciate all the efforts that the Wellesley Green Schools group does, and I think a lot of their, I will call it a curriculum, because they do a lot of work with the students and with the teachers. And I also appreciate and support these new buildings that are coming on that I know are net zero ready. They'll have solar panels as well. Thank you.
Thank you both. We appreciate your efforts this evening, and thank you. Next up, we're going to go to the trustees of the Wellesley Free Library. There are 4 folks running. 2 of them are running for 3-year spots, if I'm correct, and 2 are running for 1-year spots. We have Stephen so far, Stephen Marie. Then we have Marla Robinson, who should be out there, Lin Shi Lee, and Sharon Mintz. So as we get them all, thank you all for running and for joining us this evening. If Marla, if you're there, maybe unmute yourself. And Lynchy, if you're there, let's unmute you. Oh, Lynchy is sending. Oh, there's also Ann Howley. I'm so sorry. I don't know how I missed that. Okay. Thank you. 5 candidates. Okay, so Lynchy is here. She's giving me the insider information, I guess, but we don't have her spotlighted yet. Give everybody a minute. Oh, there she is. Welcome. And Marla Robinson, it says it won't let me unmute. Hold on, I'll work on that. Okay, Lynchy, I'm trying to unmute you. Okay, 1, 2. All right, well, welcome all. And Anne, are you there as well? Oh, Sharon, you're not muted. That's good. All right, I am not sure how I missed Anne, so I'm gonna have to go find her. She's here, but I don't see her spotlighted yet. Okay, let's start with an introduction. So Stephen, if you could take 1 minute to introduce yourself, that would be great. Thank you.
Hey, my name is Stephen Mayer. I'm by the standards of so many here, I'm a relatively recent resident of Wellesley. I've been here since 2008. I'm active in the community as an assistant scout leader with the Boy Scout Troop 185. And in addition, have worked with a program called Community Action Partners, a Boston-based program that provides nonprofit organizations with pro bono consulting on strategic plans and related issues.
10 seconds.
And I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you. Marla.
Good evening. I'm Marla Robinson, running for library trustee. I'm a longtime resident of Wellesley, a little over 30 years, and also a longtime town meeting member, serving Precinct E since 1996. For me, it's been an honor and a pleasure to serve the Wellesley community over the last 18 years as a library trustee. And I'm seeking re-election because in actively supporting and ensuring that the library continues to play a vital role in the community, I've successfully learned how to evaluate, articulate, and champion both residents and staff needs. The library continues to evolve, but my priorities remain the same: to tirelessly advocate for the library so that outstanding services and exceptional resources are available to residents in a fiscally responsible manner.
10 seconds.
I'll stop there then. Thank you.
Thank you. Lynchy, why don't you please introduce yourself?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Lynchy Lee, a candidate for the library trustee 1-year term. So professionally, I'm a senior user experience manager working on simplifying life with diabetes. By understanding technology and user needs, we create intuitive products and experiences. Personally, I'm an 8-year Wellesley resident. My husband and I have 3 children in Sprague and Paws. I have been volunteering for the library since 2017. So last May, the library trustee selected me from 14 candidates. So I became the newest library trustee. The 6-person board is blessed with talents and expertise in legal, management, partnership development, and strategic planning, while I bring knowledge and practice from the technology industry and user perspectives as a young parent. I have always advocated for education, accessibility, and sustainability. My focus is on technology and service innovation to address patrons'
10
needs
seconds.
and promoting cross-cultural connections. Thank you.
Thank you. Sharon, please take a minute to introduce yourself.
Thank you, Sustainable Wellesley, and to all of you for taking the time to listen tonight. I'm Sharon Mintz, and when we moved to Wellesley 27 years ago, my first stop was to get my library card, and from there to the dump to recycle our moving boxes. I'm ready to serve the library because I have the energy, communication skills, and collaborative work style that will make me a tireless advocate for the library. During my nonprofit fundraising career, I have raised major gifts, advocated for fiscal responsibility, and mobilized volunteers. This is my 10th year at Babson College as a major gift officer, where I've raised millions of dollars for Babson's annual and capital campaigns. My skills and background are strongly aligned with the library's needs. 97% of the library's budget is determined by fixed costs. All the wonderful extras that make our library exceptional, ebooks, Fells branch operations, museum passes, and so much more, come from private fundraising efforts by Library Foundation and Friends of the Library volunteers. I am the candidate who will listen and collaborate with these extraordinary volunteers. I am the candidate best suited to steward the public-private partnership and grow our private fundraising efforts.
Thank you. And again, I apologize, but you're up next. Not last, but definitely not least. I apologize.
That's fine, Phyllis. Thank you. And thank you to Sustainable Wellesley for making this evening possible and all that you do to bring information and education to our town. As Phyllis said, I'm Ann Howley. I'm a candidate for re-election to the Wellesley Free Library Board of Trustees for a 3-year term. Our family moved to Wellesley from Maryland in 1993. My husband, Peter, and I have 3 daughters and 4 granddaughters, and currently 1 standard poodle named Charlie. 2 of our granddaughters attend Wellesley Middle School. Volunteer service has always been very important to me, especially helping communities of which I am a part. I've served on the advisory committee from 2002 to 2005 and on several other special town committees. I have been a town meeting member from Precinct C since 2003 and a library trustee since 2008. It has been my great pleasure to serve as a library trustee. The library is the crown jewel of town, and I'm very proud of the work that our board has done during my tenure to keep it in such shape. Thank you.
And time.
Perfect. Thank you. Marla, the first question is going to go to you. The question is, what is your track record on environmental sustainability, including any related interests, experiences, or initiatives?
Thank you, Phyllis. In my professional life, I am an owner of a small commercial real estate and management company, all dealing with the retail sector, not office or housing. And at one of our largest properties, we just completed a large solar installation on a 150,000 square foot 1-story building. We've also replaced all of the parking lot lights with the most energy efficient lights possible. This is a goal wherever we have control of the common areas of our commercial properties. In my personal life, we've had an energy audit performed, replaced all of our lighting, keep our heat incredibly low, and worked with a couple of farms. My son has been an organic farmer for the last 2 years. I'm a very strong advocate for the town tree bylaw. The first bylaw that was passed in town happened, one of the reasons, because the next door lot to me was clear cut and then left over 3 years before the developer decided to put a house on it.
Time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Stephen, you're next, please.
As someone who is a Boy Scout as a youth and obtained the rank of Eagle Scout, I feel as if I was into environmentalism sort of at the creation. And I may be reluctant to say this, but was around and conscious of the first Earth Day. So environmental conservation activities have been a part of my life since youth. Of more relevance, perhaps, to this organization, in my career, we built a factory in Thailand where we looked at how to achieve good environmental working conditions without excess energy consumption. One of the things we did was install evaporative cooling, which brought the temperature down, but without the expense of air conditioning, and also changed a lighting plan and delivered basically the optimal lighting at 1/3 of the electric utilization.
And time. Thank you.
Sharon, you're next, please.
My goal is to play an active role in working to lower my personal carbon footprint, as well as advocating for initiatives so the library in our town can achieve net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. As many of our neighbors and friends witness, my husband and I are big walkers. When it comes to errands and free time activities, our goal is to be walking the town rather than driving. I am proud to have participated in the pilot program for composting at the dump. Once I got our family in the habit of composting, I encouraged our friends to sign up as well. At Babson College, I launched the composting program in our Alumni Hall building and connected our department's efforts to the broader sustainability efforts at the college. In the summer, we plant our own garden of herbs and vegetables, and we are committed to organic farming. We are active supporters of farmers markets and make it a priority to buy local. It has been an honor to successfully raise money for Sudiksha's garden at Babson College, in memory of a young student who had big goals for making the world a better place. My fundraising successes have allowed Babson to build the community garden so the college can learn more about gardening and composting. Thank you.
Thank you. Anne, you're next, please.
I believe that we must all do our part to achieve sustainability goals. Recycling, reusing, and re-educating are critical. I garden without pesticides, monitor the use of water for outdoor purposes, and am working with our landscape group on limiting gas-powered leaf blowers and mowers. Thank you, Trish Glass, for that informative Globe article. The critical role trees play in the environment is also very important. As a town meeting member, I supported the tree and large house review bylaws, both of which help protect our trees. I would like to see stronger town efforts in this area. As a library trustee, I support the town's sustainability initiatives, including trustee approval of the municipal sustainable building guidelines and programs to educate the community on importance of sustainable efforts and climate action. I support efforts to recycle and reuse within the library itself and work to include sustainable features in major projects like the main library renovation.
Thank you. Lynchy, you're next. Thank you.
So as a design professional, I take it as my social responsibility to advocate for human common goods, reducing waste and protecting our planet. When I worked for Bose, I collaborated with electrical and software engineers to create product power states that met EU energy reservation regulatory. We designed speakers and headphones to go to a standby state and stay responsive after music has been shortly paused, while intelligently transition the products into low power standby states after longer time of no use. I also supported initiatives to change our plastic packaging filter materials to more sustainable paper pulps and move printed user guide to completely online. On a personal level, I always like to start with small actions. I use and advocate my friends to use our library of things. We take our children to the grain education program and participate in the spray garden club. We walk to school in the walk to school days, comply with non-idle law. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next question is, how do you see sustainability as a factor in the development of policy and strategic goals for the Wellesley Free Library system to ensure that Wellesley meets its greenhouse gas reduction goals? Let's start with Sharon, please.
The library has an important role to play since our town buildings contribute about 70% of the municipal carbon footprint. I'm very interested in how residences and buildings can adopt sustainable design and infrastructure. I am running for library trustee so I can have a seat at the table, setting the priorities for the next 5-year strategic plan and advocate for sustainability to be a key strategic initiative. In the recent renovation, the main library roof was prepared for solar panel placement. I would like to explore having a portion of the roof be converted to a green roofing system, which can help with stormwater management. The Fells branch now has a children's garden. I'd like to discuss establishing gardens at the Hills and Main branch locations for residents to enjoy. I would pursue these initiatives through private funding sources. As a trustee, I will partner with town leaders on other boards like School Committee and Recreation Commission to launch a coordinated, strong message about sustainability efforts in Wellesley. We can educate and inspire the community with displays and demonstration spaces so residents learn how each building is changing to a more sustainable operation. I'm a skilled fundraiser and community organizer ready to serve the residents of Wellesley as a library trustee. I hope you'll vote for me on March 1st. Thank you.
Thank you. Lynchy, you're next, please.
So as a community gathering place, a cultural destination gateway to ideas, I believe Wellesley Free Library is in the best position to provide education and practice about sustainability to the children and adults. So Wellesley Free Library has many partnerships established with Wellesley organizations, including Wellesley Conservation Council, Conservation Land Trust, NRC, Sustainable Wellesley included. And there are a lot of educational programs organized by the library with those partners to advocate and educate about sustainability to kids and to all the residents in our community. Only looking at the last year, we almost had an education program every month or every other month.
10 seconds.
In terms of practice, the Wellesley Free Library can expand its library of things to encourage reuse. And we also have the Wellesley Free Library's own. Thank you.
Thank you. Anne, you're next, please.
Okay. The main library renovation shows the WFL's strong support of town's sustainability goals. Renovating a building to meet current and future needs and extended service life is the ultimate in sustainability and mentioned in the municipal sustainable building guidelines. Not only is renovation cost efficient, but also means less discarded material waste and allows the addition of sustainable materials and practices into the existing building. As part of the renovation design team, I work closely with the facilities management department to include sustainable features and materials wherever possible. Our team chose an architectural firm with a strong reputation for sustainable library design. Early in design, we met with sustainable town representatives, which led to the removal of a gas fireplace. Choices were made to maximize and improve natural light throughout the building. Furniture and fixtures were reused where practical, and any surplus was rehomed. Materials with low VOCs were chosen for new furniture and carpets. Lighting in the library is now LED, as older lighting was retrofitted during the renovation and light sensors were added into the new spaces. We're proud of the renovation design and its contribution to sustainable goals.
Thank you. Marla, you're next.
Thank you. As many of you know, the library received a new roof that was finished at the end of the summer. The roof is solar ready, and we are partnering with the MLP to have solar panels installed on the roof. MLP is currently developing the RFP, and it is my understanding that we hope to have these installed by the end of the summer, early fall. As part of the project, we're also exploring pairing this with battery storage. This would store energy that can be renewed from the solar panels should the grid go down. This will enable the library to provide some limited service to the community during a grid shutdown, such as places for members of the community to charge their electronic devices, be a cooling or heating station. Preliminary engineering evaluation is plans to see if this is a feasible option. The roof is solar ready, so that will happen. And if this does happen with the batteries, the library will be the first library in Massachusetts to have both solar storage and would be a demonstration project for other libraries. We also have in the library's capital budget for this coming year funds to purchase an electric van and install a charging station to go with that van. Thank you.
Thank you. Stephen, last but not least.
Challenge for the library in this issue is that there is both an internal component and let's call it an external component. The internal component is that the library is a town organization and it would be operating under the requirements of the town meeting ordinance for sustainability. Therefore, the library must be prepared to, over the next basically 30 years, engage in a process of continuing and ongoing improvement as regards sustainability issues. The external component is the library as a center of intellectual and cultural center for the community has a role in educating the community and providing resources to the community so that the community can better understand the issues that are involved here.
10 seconds.
Obviously, these two issues need to be balanced, but this is not a game that is ended, but it is one that is ongoing and one of continuing improvement. Thank you.
Thank you all. We appreciate it. Have a good evening. The next group is the Natural Resources Commission. There are two candidates running. One is Reina Mcmanus, who's running for re-election, and the other is Lisa Collins. And I believe they're both here this evening. And we will get them on the spotlight. There's Reina. And Lisa. Gonna unmute you both because we need to hear. Thank you both for joining us. If you would both, let's start with Lisa. Please take 1 minute to introduce yourself. I think, are you unmuted? Trying. All right, Reina, you go first, only because I can't unmute you, Lisa. I'm gonna work on that, sorry.
Oh, I got it.
Okay, good. There you go, Lisa.
Okay, you want me to start?
Yes, please.
Okay, great. Thank you to Sustainable Wellesley for hosting us tonight. My name is Lisa Collins, and I'm an active member of our community and proud to live in a town that systematically and definitively fights the impacts of climate change. When we first moved here, I dove right into Wellesley's fulfilling volunteerism, and I've held leadership roles across our community with really a focus on the health and wellness of our kids and families, and that has always been paramount for me. In fact, in a great time of great adversity during the summer of 2020, with a track record as a collaborator, problem solver, and communicator, I was asked to serve on Wellesley Public Schools COVID Reopening Committee alongside our administrators, staff, and faculty as the only parent liaison. During this unprecedented time with no roadmap to guide us, it was imperative that we work together to collaborate effectively and efficiently to get our kids back into the classrooms in that fall. It wasn't easy and there were lots of conflict, but we got the work done. We are all deeply impacted by the health of the environment, and the actions we take as a town matter. I can think of no better way to serve our children, our environment, and our town than with a seat on the Natural Resources Commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Reina. 1 minute to introduce yourself, please.
Great, thank you. Good evening. I'm Reina Mcmanus, Chair of the Wellesley Natural Resources Commission and running for re-election to this important board. The NRC serves as a leader in the town for environmental protection. In 2019, I was instrumental in the NRC declaring a climate emergency and have included it as an agenda item at every meeting to keep it in the public eye. I view every decision we make, every action we take through a sustainability lens. Our natural resources are our best defense against the effects of climate change. Whether it's the Fullabrook Park restoration, the Honeywell track and field expansion, girls softball fields, or a shoreline restoration at Morse's Pond, my experience and knowledge guides me in finding environmentally sound solutions. In my role in the NRC, I engage with other organizations in town, including our Wellesley Conservation Land Trust and Sustainable Wellesley, because we are all connected. My mission is the same as the NRC's mission to pass along the full value of our natural assets to future generations. The mission matters. Thank you.
And time. Okay, Reina, take a deep breath. You're getting the first question.
Okay.
Which is, what is your track record on environmental sustainability, including any related interests, experiences, or initiatives?
Thank you. My track record is deep and broad over my nearly 8 years on the NRC. Here are a few examples of lesser known initiatives that aren't so obvious but have a far reach. I encouraged our director to investigate participation in the Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Program and Charles River Watershed Climate Compact. This resulted in the town's acceptance into the programs and grant money. I work with the Wellesley Green Schools, attend STEM Expo and July Jubilation to teach children about natural resources. And next week, I'll be leading an owl prowl. I've tagged gas leaks all over town, which are killing our trees and warming our planet. I testified to our state legislature, as well as the state's Department of Public Utilities, to encourage action on gas leaks. I was instrumental in hiring our director, who has built a strong staff, so important to achieving our goals. These are just a few examples. There are many more. I have the strongest proven track record on environmental sustainability, and my interest and experience confirm it. Thank you.
Okay, Lisa, do you need me to say the question or you got it?
No, I got it. Thank you.
Okay.
At home, we instill sustainability practices and values into our everyday lives, and in our family, we lead by example. Environmental sustainability goes hand in hand with my volunteerism. As a PTO leader at the elementary, middle, and district-wide level, I've ensured additional funding for environmental science programs. I've led and trained a volunteer corps in our science-based geology rocks, and I've advocated for our Green Schools initiatives district-wide. This work here in Wellesley is a continuation of my commitment to environmental education that began 20 years ago, supporting an after-school environmental program at a Boston charter school in one of the underserved communities. I helped reimagine a long-standing after-school program I co-led at Barton Road Community for our pre-K through 8th grade students. Given the isolation and the toll of COVID, it was clear that we needed to give our kids an opportunity to connect them to the outdoors through active play and through environmental responsibility. We were able to incorporate a new curriculum into that program to provide playground and trails cleanup initiatives throughout the Barton Road community. Education has always been a cornerstone of my environmental sustainability practice and will continue to be.
Thank you. All right, Lisa, take a breath. The next one's yours.
Okay.
What do you think the priorities of the NRC should be for the next 3 years of your prospective term to ensure that Wellesley meets its greenhouse gas reduction goals?
Okay, great. Thank you for that question. As they relate to the greenhouse gas reduction goals, I believe the priorities for the NRC fall into 3 categories: natural resource protection, education and engagement, and advocacy. In terms of protection, number 1, investing in advancing our toolkit to prioritize our natural solutions is paramount. We have Grow Green initiatives like pesticide impact, pollination corridors, and our native plants are all pieces of that prioritization that allows us to strengthen our natural ecosystems. The second priority is around education and engagement. Education is robust, and as the COVID restrictions ease, our program that Lisa Moore runs, as well as our Green Schools program, is strong and will continue to be. The engagement piece is the part that I think that we can really focus on. We have a number of our residents that have not stepped into sustainability action in the way that we need them to in order for us to meet our goals. In order to really drive toward change, in order to move the needle on meeting our goals, we need to build on-ramps for our sustainability practices. The third area is around advocacy, and we need to work with our town departments, community and regional and government level. Time. Sorry, thank you.
Okay, Reina, you're next.
Great. My priorities align with the Climate Action Plan, the Unified Plan, and town meeting mandates. Here are just a few of the opportunities we have over the next 3 years. Transportation makes up 43% of our emissions. Our Trails Committee has a detailed 5-year plan that will foster connectivity for alternative transportation routes within and beyond Wellesley to get people out of their cars. As the NRC was one of the first boards to endorse the town's sustainable building guidelines, I ensured that facilities like the on-order bathroom at Honeywell playing fields adhered to the guidelines, and I'll do the same for the planned beach facilities at Morse's Pond. The NRC will upgrade the existing outdated energy inefficient lights at the Diane Warren Field and the Honeywell tennis courts with LED lights. I'll continue to work with the DPW to build sustainable landscapes, including the transition to electric-powered landscaping equipment, continue improvements in waste reductions through zero waste events, and work with our towns through our working group. These are just a few. There are many more opportunities to reduce emissions.
Thank you.
Okay, Reina, take one more breath. It's you again. The last question for these two is, what specific actions would you take to further the town's commitments to waste reduction, reduction of greenhouse gas emissions, maintaining our tree canopy, and preserving and enhancing our open space system?
Okay. My actions focus on the opportunities we have to enhance and protect all our open spaces, which include our trees, ponds, streams, and wetlands, our passive spaces and active spaces. I pursue green infrastructure solutions because the effects of climate change are already here. Droughts are stressing our trees, warmer winters mean more invasive species, flooding is happening despite good infrastructure. My actions include being a good environmental leader by setting a good example. I've taken action on everything from preservation to active recreation and banning single-use plastic bags. It's hard to cover everything in a minute. On a personal note, I'm a native gardener. I participate in Shave the Peak, the food waste diversion program, and the We Care renewable energy program. I drive electric, and I'm a weekly participant at Fridays for Future at Town Hall. There are many stressors and demands constantly placed on Wellesley's natural resources. I pledge to provide balance in decision-making in order to protect them now and in the future. I am the best candidate and steward because of my strong record of taking action with excellent results for our town, and I ask for your vote on March 1st.
Thank you. Okay, Lisa, now it's your turn.
Thank you. With a comprehensive action plan, we can take very specific action in order to achieve our goals. In terms of waste reduction, we can focus on school-based food waste diversion program as COVID restrictions begin to ease. And as we know, COVID has only increased our environmental waste with masks, single-use packaging, hand wipes, sanitizers that we need to address in our schools as well. We can provide clear guidelines for our sports teams and programs around waste management, creating an opportunity for them to connect action with climate change, which is important for all of our youth. In terms of our tree canopy, we're currently at 53% of our canopy, and we know that we want to grow that. Gas leaks and our partnership with the Multi-Town Gas Leaks Initiative is one way that we can address this issue, given that gas leaks are softening our tree roots. We know that our gas leaks don't end at our borders and require coordination with National Grid and advocacy across the regional and state level. We can provide preserving and enhancing our open space system is another area that we can focus on by providing clear and transparent evaluation metrics and building them into the next open space plan and recreation plan as we develop it. We can use climate impact metrics and layer in our NRC adjacencies, such as wetlands and climate action work. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you both. We appreciate it. Next up is the planning board. There are two candidates running. Catherine is running for re-election and Mark is also running. And I see Catherine, and I believe Mark is here as well. There's Catherine. Unmute her to start. Not yet, huh? Okay. And we have Mark. Oh, Catherine did it. And Mark, are you unmuted yet? Not yet. All right, well, Mark gets unmuted. He might be actually frozen.
I think I'm good. Unmuted.
There you
Hello?
go. There we go. Okay.
All right, great.
Thank you. Let's start with a 1-minute intro. Mark, you can start by introducing yourself, please. We're having, is it me or is it?
Okay.
There you
Well,
go.
Wellesley event. Can you hear me? Is that working?
Yes,
And
you're
now?
good.
Is it working?
Mhm.
Okay. So thank you all for organizing this event. My name is Mark Carney, and I'm running for the planning board. I currently live in Wellesley with my wife, Jenny, and 3 children who are all students at the Wellesley Middle School and High School. I've spent the last 15 years raising my family and building a small independent real estate brokerage in town that has continued to grow and evolve in such a positive way. 3 years ago, I was asked to join the Wellesley Historic Commission to share my expertise in real estate and preservation, as I have served over the last 3 years helping to preserve and encourage sensible building and preservation. I have had the opportunity to see how important serving our community is. I'm currently a member of the Sustainable Zoning Working Group and have been advocating for smart changes to our zoning bylaws aimed at helping our community reach our newly enacted climate
10
goals.
seconds.
I look forward to our discussion this evening about how the planning board can work together with your organization and accomplish our 2050 goal.
Okay, Mark, we're a little, you went out a little bit towards the end, so I'll give you a second. Catherine's going to introduce herself. And I don't know if you want to try relogging in, Mark, or it might be okay, but Catherine, go for it. You have 1 minute to introduce yourself, please.
Thank you. And thank you to Sustainable Wellesley, to you, Phyllis, and to the leadership team for hosting this. It's a wonderful opportunity to hear from everybody. I'm Catherine Johnson. I've been a resident in town for over 30 years. I have had a career in both publishing and in design with a master's in design from Yale School of Art and Architecture. I've served on the planning board for almost 10 years now, and I've been chair for 4 years. I am running for re-election and I'm asking for your vote. On a personal note, I have 2 children who went through the Wellesley public school system and now have successful careers. So go Wellesley. I think that that's great. And I am humbled daily by the experience to serve the town. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Catherine, take a breath because you get the first question. The question is, what is your track record on environmental sustainability, including any related interests, experiences, or initiatives?
Oh, thank you. I'm going to give you the highlights. It won't be complete. Since I have been on the board, I have either authored, co-authored, or presented at town meeting: a revision to the tree bylaw, a revision to the natural resources protection zoning bylaw. I've amended large house review bylaw to reduce the mass and the scale. Remember, building smaller is better. I've worked as an integral part of the historical commission as a working group to create the demolition review bylaw. That was in 2017. Again, rehabilitation of buildings is better. It is sustainable. I've helped create zoning bylaw section 14H, which created the large scale solar overlay district that allowed Wellesley to be designated as a green community. Currently, I am on the Town Sustainable Mobility Committee, and that is through planning, and also the Town Housing Committee. At the upcoming annual town meeting, we're going to be bringing 2 articles to town meeting. And in my spare time, I'm a gardener at the Brookside Garden, and I have adopted a vegan lifestyle.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Mark, it's your
Hi.
turn. Your
Is
track
that-
record.
is the audio working?
Much better. Yes.
Okay. I reconnected, sorry. Thank you again. So as a small business owner, we've oriented our initiatives around building fully electric homes that utilize solar power, fully integrated heat pumps on heating and air conditioning, and hybrid water heaters. Additionally, as a member of the Sustainability Zoning Working Group, I've been working on promoting the use of heat pumps and working to find a plan to allow these efficient and quieter types of equipment to be exempt from the current zoning bylaws. We have an upcoming article at town meeting, and I just want to plug the importance of Article 38.
Great, thank you. Okay, Mark, you're up for the next question. How do you see sustainability as a factor in the development of planning policy in Wellesley?
Well, it ties into the end of that last question, which is the Article 38 initiative. This is something that needs to be passed in the upcoming town meeting, and planning needs to play a bigger role in making that happen. The process for simple change to our bylaws needs to happen in the short term. Long-term goals of the planning board need to focus on promoting policies that encourage and in some cases mandate large-scale projects to include sustainable building technologies such as solar systems, electric heating and air conditioning infrastructure, as well as the use of electric heat pumps. The current group of articles coming up this year in this year's town meeting need to be passed by our community and fully supported by the planning board.
Great, thank you. Okay, Catherine, your turn, please.
Thank you. Sustainability isn't just a factor. It is the essence of proper land use management, period, almost full stop. Wellesley has a mere 10.5 square miles of land, and except for the large landholders, we all know them, Wellesley College, Babson, Wellesley Country Club, we are essentially built out. So when planning considers how to build a school, how to manage and reduce traffic, and how to increase our housing stock, we are really talking about sustainability. Let me tell you why this keeps the town's character. In 1894, Horatio Hollis Honeywell built what we now know as the Cheever House. It's owned by Wellesley College. He built it as a wedding present for his daughter. And just before completion, there was a fire. It consumed most of the building. HH was out there yelling at the firefighters, "Don't worry about the house. We can rebuild it, but save the trees." That started Wellesley on its path to sustainability. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Never heard that story. Catherine, you're up next. What specific sustainability related initiatives should the planning board undertake in your prospective term to ensure that Wellesley meets its greenhouse gas reduction goals?
The 2 most important issues that we have are housing with its diversity and its density and mobility. A third issue would be to get control of the tree bylaw and to coordinate an enforcement plan. A fourth issue would be to work with the Board of Public Works Engineering to support the stormwater management plan that they are starting to undertake. But pay attention to the Housing Committee and the Mobility Committee. I'm also working with an ad hoc group of people now, which spans beyond Wellesley, to work on more revisions to the tree bylaw. And what I would like to do is ask a favor of Sustainable Wellesley. I attended a forum last week with Sustainable Needham. It was geared for all real estate professionals, but open to everyone. It talked about net zero building in our housing. I would encourage and love to talk offline with many of you about how we connect with this group and have a forum similar to that available for everyone here in town. And I ask for your vote.
Thank you. Okay, Mark, your turn.
Thank you. So I have a specific, goal of increasing our use of solar among residential housing, among our residential housing stock. The current policies across other boards, the ZBA, NRC, and planning, in some cases have made the process of installing solar a challenge. There's an issue related to the balance of how our tree bylaw works with installing solar panels, as well as some of the current views on massing related to the design of houses. At times, those to getting solar installed. Additionally, we recently lost some of the financial incentives for homeowners looking to make solar part of a solar plant part of their home. And this is an area we need to work to ensure that we support every way possible more residential solar systems. And please vote for me.
Okay. Thank you both. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
And next is the Board of Public Works. The candidate is Ellen Corby, who is actually running for re-election. And I think we'll get everyone out of here before 8:30. Ellen, I believe you're here. There she is. Okay, we're going to unmute you. Are you unmuted?
Hi, Phyllis. Hi,
Hello.
everybody.
Okay, Ellen, you get 1 minute to introduce yourself.
Okay. Hi, I'm Ellen Corby. I'm running for re-election to the Board of Public Works. I had a career as a teacher, public interest lobbyist, banker, and turnaround consultant. I've really been a change agent in both my professional career and in my volunteer work, for going back even to my years in college where I was a student leader. 11 years ago, I was one of the original appointees to the Sustainable Energy Committee that is now the Climate Action Committee. And 3 years ago, I was elected to the Board of Public Works. That also puts me on the Municipal Light Board as well. So I'm working on very similar issues, but sitting in a different seat. And when I first,
10 seconds.
Well, traction for success in Wellesley is really tough. And in order to get things going, I was the founder of the Green Collaborative so that we could all talk to each other, and of the 3 departments talking to each other through the 3R working group.
And time.
Okay, Ellen, your question is, what is your track record on environmental sustainability, including any related interests, experiences, or initiatives?
Okay. As I said, I've been on the Sustainable Energy Committee, Climate Action Committee. And in that role, I was chair for, I think, 4 years and vice chair. And I still very active now in a different seat representing the MLP. And I initiated, coordinated, or played a key role in many successful award-winning initiatives, such as the Power to Choose campaign 10 years ago, which is where I teamed up for the first time with Sustainable Wellesley, the Food Rescue Program for local public schools and colleges, the Residential Solar Campaign, the Food Waste Diversion Program at the RDF, and currently the Clean Comfort Campaign to encourage air source heat pumps. On the Board of Public Works, I've worked towards the development of water conservation measures and pushed for the creation of a stormwater working group, which we now have. On the MLP, I coordinated development of our climate action plan, which is embedded in the town's climate action plan, which I believe is going to be released tomorrow.
And time. Thank you.
Okay, last question, Ellen. What specific initiatives related to the environment should the Board of Public Works undertake in your next 3-year term to ensure that Wellesley meets its greenhouse gas reduction goals?
And the question is just Board of Public Works, so I'm not going to talk about the light board ones. So electrification of our fleet. We've had hybrid cars for quite a few years, but now we are working towards getting all electric cars, and we hopefully soon will start getting some electric trucks, or at least hybrid trucks. Green landscaping, we already are quite green in the way we landscape, no pesticides, organic, and all of that. But thanks to Sustainable Wellesley, sponsored a program on green landscaping. We created some green landscaping zones this year, and as a pilot, and it so far worked really well. And we are very, very committed to continue that program. And finally, at the RDF, we still have, even though we're world class, there's a lot more we can do to reduce, reuse, and recycle.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Thank you so much, Ellen. So I don't think we have any more candidates there. So I just want to thank all of the candidates and those of you watching in the audience. If your question was not shared tonight, we encourage you to reach out directly to the candidates. We want to remind everyone to vote on March 1st, so put it on your calendar. In addition, we have a few events coming up we would like to invite you to attend. You can go to our website, sustainablewellesley.com, and look at the calendar and click on the registration link. I think Evelyn's going to share that right now in the chat. Finally, there are things all of you can do, big and small, whether you're a government, municipal volunteer or not. And again, in our link on our website, you can, in the chat, you can see actions that we've come up with. So you can do things in your everyday life, whether it's eating less meat, taking more public transportation. And I think that's it. We just want to thank you all for joining us this evening, and have a lovely evening. Good night. March 1st, don't forget to vote.